All right, there we go. So first of all, just to talk a little bit about our objectives for today's webinar is, first of all, we're going to define service year programming and provide a high-level overview of kind of that total service year ecosystem so that we all know everybody has like a baseline of kind of the topic area that we're discussing and how service can show up. Next, we'll be defining quality pre-apprenticeship programming and describe how that shows up in service year programs across the country, really kind of echoing some of the learnings from a recent report that we issued to the field. Next up, we'll outline how employers and apprenticeship sponsors can connect to service year programs to recruit the diverse young talent. And then, probably most importantly, we have some space where you're going to hear directly from program staff and employer partners to really see real-world examples of how this looks in the field. There's our three presenters for today, or co-hosts, really. First of all, I'm Brent Kosick. I'm Director of Programs at Service Year Alliance. Our elevator speech for our organization's work is our mission is to ensure that service is a common opportunity and expectation for all young Americans. We do that through advancing a variety of different work, but really it's about our expansion efforts, which is bringing partners into the space, everything from workforce development, employers, philanthropy, public policy work. We also are very much known for our recruitment work. We have serviceyear.org, which is a common applicant platform for service year organizations. And then also we have our impact work, which I kind of think of as bringing stakeholders together, both within the national service field and beyond, to address common opportunities or address common challenges that we can work towards solving together. So with that, I'll pass it off to Vanessa Bennett.
Thanks, Brent, and welcome everybody. My name is Vanessa Bennett, and I'm a director with Jobs for the Future and our Center for Apprenticeship and Work-Based Learning. JFF is a national nonprofit that works at the intersection of education and workforce with the goal of expanding equitable access to economic mobility and education and career pathways for all workers and learners. At the Center for Apprenticeship and Work-Based Learning, we are, as you've guessed, solely focused on the earn and learn space and how we make pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship, and work-based learning opportunities more accessible to more individuals. And part of that includes great work with organizations like Service Year Alliance and Next 100 to support connections between the national service movement and the pre-apprenticeship model. So we'll talk more about that today, and I'll pass it over to Robert.
Yeah, thanks so much, Vanessa. So Robert Gottfried, I work over at Next 100. Next 100 is a startup think tank with the goal of empowering folks with lived experience to work in that policy area. So my focus for the last 2 years at Next 100 has been on national service policy. I'm an AmeriCorps alum, got a chance to see up front both the benefits and downsides of the current way in which AmeriCorps national service is set up. It's been my pleasure to work with this cross the field on really thinking through how we can create a more equitable. As part of that, got the opportunity to work with Vanessa and Brent here on writing this report on pre-apprenticeship integration into AmeriCorps, which is some of what this presentation here is based off of. And with that, I will throw it back to Brent.
Well, thank you all so much. And we, like I mentioned, we also have a variety of great guest speakers today. They'll have a chance later on in the presentation to more fully introduce themselves, but we have Erica Simmons, who is the Vice President for Equity, Work, and Workforce Development at the Solar Energy Industry Association, Kara Johnson, Deputy Director for Heart of Oregon Corps, and Darlene Snyder, Mentor and Volunteer Construction Trainer, Heart of Oregon Youth Build, and former Manager General Contractor for Sisters Habitat for Humanity Construction. So they're going to be probably the most thrilling part of the presentation. But before we get into that, again, we want to have some baseline understanding of kind of that overall service year ecosystem. So we define a service year as a paid opportunity to develop real-world skills through hands-on service that seeks to address some of our nation's most pressing community challenges. So a way to think about this is it's kind of a triple win bottom line. So core or program participants, who we refer to as core members, gain everything from networking with employers, job exposure, certifications, trainings that can equip them into careers later on in life or additional pathways. There's also that win for the community being served itself. So core members might be doing things like weatherizing homes for low-income families, and obviously a direct benefit to their community, also leading to greater national contributions as a whole. Everything from, again, workforce development to reductions in climate impact to like increased civic engagement for young Americans. There are about 65,000 to 85,000 service year opportunities around the country on an annual basis, and these vary in lengths and commitment, serving different issue areas and across different geographic regions. I like to use the analogy of like serving in a service program is kind of like a saying that you have a job in New York City. So there's core members across the country doing just about everything you can imagine to address community needs. Everything from teaching in schools, to leading financial stability workshops, to rebuilding after disasters. If there's a need, there's probably a core member doing it. For today's presentation, I also wanted to break that down a little bit further to share that we have about 20,000 core members serving in climate and environmental resilience programming each year. And approximately 40% of those participants identify as female and 50% representing minority populations, which creates a great opportunity for further diversifying a variety of industries, particularly in the green sector, where we see that it's overly kind of represented with white males, and ways that we can all continue to grow that perspective. There's also a growing number of core members serving in the Healthy Futures category. There's been a new partnership with the CDC to create new programming in the space over the next 3 years. So that's also a growing area for service. And then also there's over 10,000 host sites across the country. So again, chances are that you have a service year program or at least core members serving really close to wherever you're based throughout the US. This is just to help paint a little bit more, a broader picture of that service year ecosystem. First of all, we have AmeriCorps, which is a federal agency and represents probably the largest bulk of the service year ecosystem. One thing that I want to draw some relationship to is that there's actually a few different AmeriCorps programs that fall under that federal agency that you might have interacted with or heard of before, but it's all kind of part of this broader family. So you have VISTA, which is kind of the capacity building branch of AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps members serving behind the scenes, starting up new programs, grant writing, community organizing, things like that. You have AmeriCorps NCCC, which is a team-based program where they participate in episodic projects around the country where they'll travel and do things like disaster response, conservation efforts, things like that for a series of weeks at a time. There's also state and national, which is our direct service branch. And so these are the core members that are really like directly out in the field, working with families, working with homeowners, working with students, things like that. Something else that I wanted to kind of draw some relationship among is that the way that generally AmeriCorps works is that you have nonprofits, municipalities, higher education, schools hosting AmeriCorps members. So oftentimes you'll be familiar with programs such as Habitat for Humanity, Teach for America, City Year, Boys and Girls Club that are oftentimes serve as AmeriCorps host sites. There's also AmeriCorps Seniors, which engages individuals age 55 plus. Youth Build is a service project under the Department of Labor that equips young people for a variety of trade industries. We also have independent programs that might fall under faith-based initiatives or state-based initiatives that meet the definition of service year programming. And then Peace Corps is also part of this broader ecosystem, just deploying young people or really individuals across the world really in service activities. So with that, I'm going to hand it back off to Vanessa to talk a little bit more about pre-apprenticeship and how it's showing up in service.
Thanks so much, Brent. So we'll dive right in. And what we really want to do right now is just kind of give us all some grounding language in what the pre-apprenticeship model is. So first and foremost, these are programs that are designed to prepare individuals to enter into and succeed within a registered apprenticeship program. But they are also very beneficial to helping individuals gain the skills and readiness to enter into and succeed in other high-quality career and education pathways. Programs that are built using some of the elements that we'll talk about in just a minute can really ensure that all individuals have access to the new careers that are cropping up in in-demand industries, And this can really serve to help level the playing field and address equity considerations that we sometimes see within the labor force. So at its most base level, pre-apprenticeship is really about helping to increase access by supporting skills and readiness to a range of career and education opportunities. Here we have the quality elements that the Department of Labor has laid out around pre-apprenticeship. So pre-apprenticeship, unlike our registered apprenticeship system, is not federally registered or recognized. And so there are a lot of program models out there. But these elements that DOL has laid out are really an attempt at ensuring quality and consistency in how we implement pre-apprenticeship training. And they include things like having a curriculum that is based on industry standards and approved by registered apprenticeship partners, providing work experiences that support training to align with the skills that are needed for the industry. This can be done through work experience and volunteer opportunities. These programs, DOL wants to see a facilitated entry into the registered apprenticeship system. They want to see an increased focus on increasing and supporting diversity through thoughtful recruitment and program design, a provision of supportive services so that participants are successful in their training, and then the use of sustainable partnerships to support program design, implementation, and expansion. Now, to help programs implement their own pre-apprenticeships, to help partners in the field do this work, JFF worked with DOL and others in the field to expand on the great criteria that is currently in place. And we created a pre-apprenticeship framework that really focuses on high quality programming. What we wanted to do is create almost a checklist that an organization could pick up to kind of assess how they're thinking about pre-apprenticeship and how they're designing current training opportunities. We took field-informed practices and pulled together a set of 6 elements that we think are really important to not only ensuring high-quality programming, but to centering equity, inclusion, and accessibility for all participants. And these include being really clear about what's needed to get into the program and be successful once someone is in it. Really thinking about how skills are meeting the needs of employers as well as registered apprenticeship programs so that individuals are really prepared for the labor market. Providing at least one industry recognized credential, offering multiple modes of skills training through hands-on learning and work-based learning, providing not just wraparound supports and services, but academic and career exploration as well. And then facilitating transitions for participants into registered apprenticeship programs and high quality career and post-secondary pathways. So again, really wanting to look at how pre-apprenticeship is a springboard to multiple opportunities for anyone who takes part in the program. And as we think about some of the lessons that Brent and Robert and I gained from our interviews with the field and the work that many folks on the panel today have done, you know, one of the things we immediately see is that high quality service programs incorporate a lot of the same characteristics as high quality pre-apprenticeships, which makes it really easy to marry these 2 models and leverage both training and service to help an individual prepare for the labor market and also prepare for the career and education opportunities that are most resonant with them. There's a really great opportunity in doing that to help service programs provide industry recognized credentials. And then the intentional skills training that's really well scaffolded in a pre-apprenticeship can also make service and pre-apprenticeship combined, make that more attractive to more individuals. So it's a recruitment and retention strategy that service programs can use to expand access to more individuals and help to recruit from a larger population of potential participants. We also learned through this report and the work that we did with the field that adopting the pre-apprenticeship curriculum helps to take the service experience and provide a more defined sort of pathway for participants post-service. It helps them to really understand the skills they're gaining through their service work and how those skills connect to a range of opportunities with different types of employers, either in their immediate area or on a national level. One of the things that we also learned is that when service and pre-apprenticeship are aligned and when they're combined together, they help to support equity. So pre-apprenticeship, as we've sort of touched on, is an equity strategy. It is really a program that has a tremendous amount of benefit for a lot of individuals, in particular, those who may not have a high school credential, who don't have prior work experience, who may face systems barriers to getting into an apprenticeship program. And when done well and when included with service, there's an increased opportunity to provide quality mentorship and opportunities for social capital building, all of which can really help to increase access to opportunities. So bringing these two models together does a lot to ensure that an individual is not just set up for success from a technical skills perspective or even an employability skills perspective, but from a community support perspective. And then in addition to this, a lot of the programs that we talked to shared that in partnering with pre-apprenticeship programs, they had more access to new partners and funding opportunities. And so this works, I think, on both sides. Pre-apprenticeship programs that actively partner with service year programs have a whole new range of partners that they can bring into the fold to help the development of their training. And service programs who intentionally align with pre-apprenticeship are exposed to a new set of partners and funders that can help them scale their service opportunities and bring more definition and alignment to how they are supporting individuals in their readiness for the workforce. One last thing that we wanted to highlight is just kind of more broad strokes around the value of this. So this is a lot on this slide. And some of the things that I want to pull out of here that I think are really important based on what we've learned from the field is that when service and pre-apprenticeship come together, there is a really comprehensive and wonderful way in which participants themselves feel a sense of belonging within a program, feel supported in a program. Service enables the provision of a range of wraparound supports, social capital, peer learning, and access to employers and relationship building that's really essential to helping young people, especially, find success in a registered apprenticeship or a career pathway. Bringing these two together also helps to ensure that there are opportunities for constant reflection on what an individual is learning in their program and really intentional exploration. So an individual has the opportunity to really think intentionally about what their goals are, what's going to matter most to them in their career, and how to connect really intentionally to the right opportunities for them. It supports direct entry into a range of pathways. And when these two are integrated, there's an opportunity to really do a lot of intentional removal of barriers for many participants, young people in particular.
Well, Vanessa, thanks so much for that. Great job. And so before we continue to move on to highlight some specific program examples and some of the common kind of skills and certifications that you'll see embedded in applicable programs, I do want to just say that we think it's really exciting to be engaging a variety of green sector employers and apprenticeship sponsors as part of this webinar. It's a great opportunity where President Biden just announced the launch of the American Climate Corps, which we believe is going to create more opportunities for building pre-apprenticeship pathways through service and into green jobs. I also want to note, although we're going to be heavily leaning into kind of clean energy adjacent and green sector jobs, there's plenty of additional career paths into apprenticeship opportunities in everything from healthcare to education to public service. We'll be briefly kind of highlighting some of those as well. But at the end of today's webinar, we'll be talking about, or we'll be sharing our contact information and additional resources in case anybody wants to schedule any time to talk about kind of how that shows up across multiple career paths after this webinar. But with that, again, I'm really excited to, welcome Erica Simmons to the call. I'm not going to steal her thunder, but she has a long kind of career experience with service directly in her personal life and continuing on in her professional life. So we're really happy to have her joining us to share a little bit about her story and how it's continuing to show up in her work with Solar Energy Industry Association.
Thanks so much, Brent. Appreciate y'all having me here. I love that report y'all put together. It hit on a lot of things that I think about every day, that I've seen, and that I want other folks to know about and engage with. But for sharing my story, first I want to say I'm passionate believer in service as a workforce development tool. And that's partially based on my own experience as an AmeriCorps alumni, and definitely strengthened by my experience running programs that utilize the combination of service and training to build up young adults, to expose them to their powers, to provide positive community impact, and to support them in developing skills and exploring their career opportunities. My first job out of college was with Outward Bound. If y'all are familiar with Outward Bound, I will share the funny fact that I had no experience working in the outdoors, being in the outdoors much. But it was a beautiful program that brought together folks with the urban life experience, folks with significant impact experience in the outdoors, and brought them together to engage young adults growing up in Boston. I got to utilize the outdoor environment to engage young adults in leadership development. And one program that we engaged was middle schools in summer employment through a program called Green Corps. We trained them in life skills and work skills, while engaging them in conservation projects in state and national parks across New England. And little did I know that this model of service and training would be a huge component of my career. I then engaged in national service as an AmeriCorps member with Habitat for Humanity East Bay, where I served as a construction site volunteer manager. During my term of service, I gained much of the skills, the experience, the training, and career exposure that I would need to consider and successfully advance in my career path that was right for me. I got to explore myself. I was going to go into orthotics and prosthetics. And I've clearly taken a different path, and that was partially due to the passions I evolved and got to dig into during my 2 years of service with Habitat. I knew I made a good choice with my decision to do Habitat AmeriCorps when I learned to use 7 different types of saws to do actual work in my first 2 weeks on site. I was on cloud 9 as a kid who was curious about that for years and years and hadn't had the opportunity to dig into that. As an AmeriCorps member, it served as an entry point for me to progress in my career path and decide on the things that I was passionate about. And it included green infrastructure and construction. Awesome stuff. Clean energy. Actually, I ended up, I'll share a little bit later about my time with Grid Alternatives, but Grid Alternatives, nonprofit, partnering with Habitat for Humanity East Bay to install solar on the houses we were building. And that was my first experience with solar. And you'll see the significance as I continue to describe my journey. But my mind was blown when I saw that meter going backwards first time we turned on a system. And there's nothing like those real experiences to build passion. And I was so curious about construction for many years, but I had no idea how to get into that pathway or that it was an option for me. And through service, through AmeriCorps, I was able to discover that. So I'll share a little bit about my career path after AmeriCorps. I actually went down to the Gulf Coast of Mississippi and served as a construction site manager for Youth Build Katrina Rebuilding Project, which was a project that developed in response to that hurricane and the rebuilding that needed to happen. It was a service year program that advances pre-apprenticeship like programming linked to a variety of trades. And we got to try out those trades. Our participants got to try out those trades by literally helping rebuild homes for families in need in Mississippi. I then had the pleasure for working with Green City Force and actually co-founding that organization based on me being like, yo, I had drank all that green building juice in California. And then I returned to New York, where I came from. And I was like, oh, I got to go to all the youth builds and talk to them about that. There were 3 different youth builds there. But I was like, I can't start talking to them about green stuff. I don't even know if that exists here. I hadn't lived back in New York for 13 years. But through that experience of exploring what was going on in New York and realizing I wanted to make sure young adults knew about this opportunity, we created, lucky enough to create Green City Force, where I served as a director and advanced the organization's mission to train young adults, young leaders to power the green and inclusive economy through service. And in line with that mission, Green City Force incorporated programming familiar in the pre-apprenticeship space, such as the Roots for Success curriculum, OSHA 10, Building Performance Institute training, job readiness, etc. After Green City Force, I then advanced to become director and then VP of Workforce Development and Service Learning at Grid Alternatives, those same folks who introduced me to solar 10 years before when I was an AmeriCorps member. And I helped them drive their organizational growth from a volunteer-focused engagement, delivering solar power to households that qualify as low income, to a solar workforce development model, helping them realize the power of that hands-on experience that they were providing volunteers could actually help them provide additional economic benefits to the communities that they were serving through getting folks trained and connected to jobs in the solar space. As Brent mentioned, I now serve as the VP of Equity and Workforce Development at the Solar Energy Industries Association, National Trade Association for Solar and Storage. And as y'all probably know, our nation's recent investments in climate and environmental resilience has created significant opportunity to fuel our country's energy transition. But now we need to make sure that there are equitable pathways for individuals to both explore and enter into the millions of jobs that we will need filled in order to actually hit these goals and making them a reality of transitioning our energy structure. And this is why SEIA is really championing our members within this industry to really go beyond business as usual in seeking new talent for their open positions. And encouraging our members to look towards building new partnerships with ecosystems like National Service that are providing a large number of diverse and amazing young people with the training, skills, certification, and experiences to align with quality pre-apprenticeship standards and that we know are important for clean energy employers. One example of how we're advancing this work is through our partnership in Apprenticeship in Clean Energy Network, or the ACE network as we call it, which serves as an apprenticeship intermediary, helping employers stand up and expand apprenticeship adjacent to clean energy. And we are excited that the Service Year Alliance is also part of this partnership network, and that we will be working to intentionally connect National Service alumni to these emerging apprenticeship opportunities through pre-apprenticeship programming. Anyhow, thank you for listening to my story and letting me share about my experience in National Service. I hope this provides you with some ideas and inspiration for considering talent development partnerships with the National Service space. Also, if anybody is interested in learning more about the ACE network and the supports it can offer in helping your organization stand up clean energy adjacent apprenticeships, we will drop a link to the network's website in the chat and follow up after this webinar. Thanks again for the time, Brent. Thank you.
Erica, so awesome. Thank you again for sharing, and thank you for being such a champion to the service world as well. So yeah, to build off of kind of Erica's story, I just wanted to share a few examples of kind of the tie-in of programming to kind of those clean energy and green sector adjacent apprenticeship opportunities. I'm not going to read through this full slide here, but just an example of different program models that we are finding are very well aligned with kind of the needs of the industry. We have conservation corps that advance a variety of green infrastructure projects, energy efficiency and weatherization programs, home construction and repair, disaster services that do everything from cleanup after a disaster to rebuilding homes after a disaster event. And then also community capacity building models where you'll see anywhere from 1 to a handful of core members serving with municipalities, nonprofits, universities, to advance a wide variety of climate and environmental resilience initiatives. Just a few examples of some of those key employability skills that we see where there's high alignment between both sectors is during service terms, it's common for core members to not only develop but demonstrate work etiquette and ethic, communication skills, customer service, teamwork and collaboration, problem solving, the ability to work in inclement weather and environments, which is obviously a big thing to adjust to, Tool use, safety. There seems like a high level of interest in core members' experience and willingness to travel for project-based work. And then also data entry. Some common certifications that show up are OSHA 10 and 30, the multi-craft core curriculum, which is pre-apprenticeship programming to union trade positions, building science principles, driver's training, lead certifications, herbicide applicator, energy practitioner certifications, and NECRD certifications as well. Again, there's a lot of tie-in and alignment with a variety of different career paths as well. So you'll see high-level alignment with career paths in healthcare and public service, and I've highlighted a variety of those program models here. And again, we'll be sending out the slide deck after today's presentation if you want to dig in any further. There's also teacher education program and alignment as well. Many of the kind of employability skills are kind of common across all service that I just mentioned, but in some of these models, you'll see some programs offering the community healthcare worker certification or even full teacher accreditation. But okay, now we're off to, again, hearing directly from the field. So Robert, I'm going to pass it off to you to facilitate our panel discussion.
Yeah, thanks so much, Brent. So one of the great organizations we got to interview and meet with was Heart of Oregon Corps, who's doing some really fantastic work out in the field. So we're really excited to be able to have two folks from Heart of Oregon Corps here, Kara and Darlene. Yeah, and we're going to kick off our panel. So with that, do both of you mind giving just some quick intros, name, title, organization?
Yeah, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kara Johnson, and I'm the Deputy Director of Heart of Oregon Corps.
And I'm Darlene Snyder, and I'm a previous construction manager for Sisters Habitat, and now a youth build mentor and assistant construction trainer.
Yeah, and just so for folks who don't know, what is Heart of Oregon Corps?
So Heart of Oregon Corps, we are based in Central Oregon. We're on the eastern side of the mountains of Oregon, the dry side, like I always like to say. But what we are is we are a local conservation corps. We run 6 different programs for opportunity youths, ages 16 to 24 years old. We do wildfire mitigation, we do forestry, natural resources. Our programs also do trail building. We have a youth build program, which we're going to talk about our pre-apprenticeship and our youth build program mostly today, where we build affordable housing and construction. But we also do have programs in child and youth development, programs in customer service and retail experience as well. And like I said, we serve the Tri-County area. So we serve 3 counties for most of our programs. So we serve about 250 young people a year, paying them stipends, paying them hourly wage for the work experience and the service, AmeriCorps service that they're doing.
Yeah, that's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about the young people who serve in the program?
Yeah, like I said, they're opportunity youth, 16 to 24. Within the youth build program, those young people have either dropped out of high school or they have 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out of the door. And they're really looking for that hands-on experience, which we can offer within our pre-apprenticeship program in construction. Not only we're looking at young people who, how would you say it? They have failed to launch an education. They have failed to launch an employment. We have young people who have come back and they've already had their high school diploma, but they're looking for that pre-apprenticeship piece in construction. We're also developing a pre-apprenticeship in child and youth development as well. So we're serving about 50% female identified youth and 50% male identified youth at the moment in our youth build program.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what types of skills and certifications are taught in the program?
So the skills that we're teaching is, like I said, construction. The industry recognized certificates that the young people are earning is in NCCER. They earn the core. They're also earning OSHA 10. We also work with Earth Advantage here in Oregon through their Green Building Trainee Program, and they're also earning that certificate. We are considered a registered BOLI, which is Oregon and Labor Industry we're a registered pre-apprenticeship program. So they're also working towards their BOLI pre-apprenticeship certificate while they're with us. In the child and youth development piece, they're working towards, it's called the Child Care and Youth Foundations Certificate through the Child and Youth Care Certification Board. And additional, like, you know, they also do like Safe Sleep Oregon, working with early childhood programs. There's additional certificates as well, like for our natural resources programs. They're doing S212, the Sawyer certificate, and also to Red Card training to become a wildfire to have training in wildfire mitigation as well.
Wow, that's quite a lot of different certifications and things people can get.
It is. And young people earn multiple ones, not just one. They come in and earn like 3, 4 of them at a time.
Yeah, that's really amazing. So tying it a little more into service, what types of AmeriCorps service opportunities do you offer at Heart of Oregon Corps, and how do they fit into the pre-apprenticeship training that you mentioned?
I'm going to take that one. I originally met Kara when she came and asked me about building a house for Sisters Habitat for Humanity. And of course, I jumped on that opportunity because the youth, it gives them an opportunity to actually use the certifications they get in their initial training to come out to a job site and actually build an affordable house. It increased Sisters Habitat's annual capacity by about 25%. And it gives them an opportunity to actually practice those skills on a real home that they are building, use their green energy certification they get from Earth Advantage to actually output a platinum level energy efficiency home. And so they get to utilize the skills they've learned in actual construction, building an affordable house for someone in their neighborhood. And we've had some great things. We built the house for a grandmother of one of the students, and it really gets them personally involved, and that experience is invaluable to them.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Can you talk about some of these partnerships that you've cultivated with outside partners in green energy, forestry, and construction?
Yeah, so with Earth Advantage, like I said, what we do is yearly we do the Green Building Trainee Certification course. They come in and to no charge to our young people, no charge to our organization. They come in and they actually do a 2-day certification course where the young people, we actually have used our houses that we built with Sisters Habitat to go in and do like blower door testing. So they get that hands-on experience. They get to learn about the, green building industry. And then they get to just, culminate it into a hands-on activity that they get to do. They also have to take a test in order to get the certification to pass and earn that certification. But we also, in the natural resources field, we partner with the Forest Service, BLM as well, and Oregon State Parks are also, we partner with local state parks too. And so, we have crews all over Central Oregon out there doing natural resources and forestry work across year round.
Yeah, that's amazing. Really great to hear about. One of the big focuses of the report that we put together was about the values in kind of layering together the pre-apprenticeship model and the national service models. And to that end, I was curious about your experience with Heart of Oregon Corps. Why did you all choose to integrate service into an existing pre-apprenticeship program? And what have you seen as the benefits of that model?
Yeah, the benefits of that model is it's like we will enroll the young people. So our youth build program is funded by the Department of Labor, and we also have the benefits of being through Youth Build USA, being an affiliated network member and having this AmeriCorps grant too. So obviously, having the funding source come in for operations and supporting our staff and supporting our program, but also too the awesome opportunity for our young people to be doing doing that service at Sisters Habitat for Humanity and other nonprofit organizations that we build for. They actually get to build that house and come back and say and show their family, show their kids, hey, you know what? While I was in youth build, I built that house. Wow, that house is still looking in great shape. Or, oh wow, they've come to me and said, oh hey, that house, remember that house we built? They're not taking care of that house. The homeowners aren't, and so they have that personal investment in the community, and making that impact as well. Also, two benefits is that they earn the the Siegel AmeriCorps Education Award for college. They have 7 years to use that. And, that whole opportunity, we also do in our program, we partner with our local community college for dual credit enrollment. And so our young people are earning credits while they're in the program for college, and while they're working on their GEDs and high school diplomas as well. But when they end program, they actually can see, hey, I've got some college credits already wrapped up. I have this scholarship for $1,800, $1,900. I can go to school and I can pay for my books. And, most of our students, our young people, they're first generation college students. And so to have that scholarship that they never, ever thought they would ever even go to college is pretty amazing to them, and to utilize that.
Yeah, no, those are some amazing stories to hear about, and how far kind of this layered model can take people. Let's shift to the employer side. Why is the pre-apprenticeship model useful for employers who might be interested in hiring their members after service?
Yeah, it's super useful in the fact that we have at Heart of Oregon Corps, for our entire organization, we have what we call an employer advisory council. And we have employers, we have 20 plus employers that sit on that employer advisory council. And so what we do is with those employers, they come in, they volunteer for our programs, all of our programs. Maybe they come in and they do mock interviews with our youth. So they're able to actually meet our youth in person, ask them questions, have them prepare. And also too, within mock interviews, we've had young people actually from employers actually say, hey, you know what, when you complete program, you graduate, I want you to come talk to me. And we have a job that could be waiting for you. So, also to our employer advisory council, we did the past 2 years, we've done a job fair for all of our young people, which has been super successful. We've gotten 20 employers at our job fair, and the young people get a chance to actually, in a environment that's supported by staff, go around and talk to employers, and and staff are there to help them ask questions and support them as well. The employer advisory council as well is like, we can ask for job shadows with those employers. Another way for young people to have an opportunity to get through the door of an employer. Internship opportunities they make available as well. And also too, we have them come in as guest speakers to talk about their jobs that they have and their careers that are available. And we also do like job site tours. One of the most fun ones that our young people have done is with a company called Knife River here in Oregon. They actually get to go out to a blasting site and actually get to have that opportunity, which not a whole lot of people get to do, and see that blasting site and what happens and what kind of careers are available through that work, that employer.
Yeah, that is fantastic, and super interesting to hear about. So to tack to some of the equity side of this, right? What has to be done in the program to make sure that participants are fully supported and successful?
Wow, everything that they do, the instruction, the advocates, the mentors, all of that role is what's necessary to give those students the support. Everything that Heart of Oregon does is focused around the success of those students. Part of the program is mentorship, which is absolutely critical to that role. As an example, I'm currently mentoring a young man. He's 16 years old, and he tested into the program at the 2nd grade level for math. And after 4 months of tutoring one-on-one, me and him, for math, he passed his construction math test for part of the NCC E&R program, and he's now working towards his math GED. And it's amazing when you see the expression on his face when he got an 87 on that test and passed. It's just a wonderful experience, even for the mentor, to see the success of these students. He's writing 2- and 3-page essays. He's got horrible dyslexia. And to see him be able to sit down and put words on paper and actually write an essay for high school credits, for his English. And it's just an amazing, it's exciting even for me. I mean, but to see the growth of those students through the mentorship program that we have is absolutely, it's just amazing. It's the only word I have. And just knowing he can do it, just knowing he can take that test and pass that math test. He was actually mad because he only got an 85, and he wanted to get above a 90 on that exam. So you see the light come on, you see the excitement, and you see their will to succeed, and just their self-confidence just grows, and it really gets them going into that program. And but yeah, and then you have the staff support, you have the additional teachers, you have the time, you have it's everything all together. It's just a great program.
Yeah, that's really wonderful, and such a great story to help kind of illustrate why this is important. I was curious, to that mentorship, is that something that is offered for all members of the program? Is that how's that kind of work?
Yeah, it is offered for all members of the program, regardless of age and how old they are when they're in the program. So basically, we do a group mentoring model through that. Basically, the group mentoring is we invite our mentors to come in to the program, like for service projects. So not only do we do, we're building affordable housing, but we also do other additional service projects for other nonprofits in our community. So our mentors join us on those service projects. So then they're able to, relate and talk with the young people, create those trusts and those bonds, because, a 16 to 24-year-old doesn't have a whole lot of trust in adults at sometimes, they want to do their own thing they're independent. They want to do their own thing. And why is this adult coming in and meddling in my life? So we have to create those opportunities, even fun opportunities in the group mentoring model, where every summer we take our young people whitewater rafting, and our mentors join us on that. It's that bonding and that team building that occurs that brings the group together. But also too, we have mentors who just come in and they take our young people on hikes, to just talk. And, right now, young people, mental health is a huge, huge issue with our young adults and young people right now. So, having that positive adult role model to come in and care about our young people makes a huge difference in their lives. Matter of fact, I have a mentor right now. He's been mentoring for 11 years. He is 87 years old, and he still is mentoring, and he's still coming into our program. He's still creating those bonds with the young people. He's taking, young people out to lunch because they don't get to do that. He goes on hikes with them, and they absolutely adore him. So it's like that mentoring program, it's a combination of group mentoring and which turns into that one-on-one mentoring, like Darlene was talking about, that really makes a difference in the young people's lives.
Yeah, that is really fantastic. So I'm curious, what measures do you take to ensure that the opportunities for folks are accessible for them? Do you provide wraparound services, supports?
We do. Yeah, absolutely. We offer wraparound services to all of our young people. So a young person, most of the young people that we work with are low income. And so, just getting them a pair of work boots is huge. A pair of work boots to go on the construction site, a pair of work boots to go on those service projects. We're able to do those kinds of things, but also too, purchasing, pair of pants, work pants, work jackets, tool belts for our young people, tools so they can start their first job. We're also able to, refer young people to mental health. We've built this great partnership with our school-based health center, that the school district that provides our education support. We also have that partnership with that facility as well to take our young people and make those appointments for, mental health, even just medical stuff for them. We make lots of referrals to counseling, referrals to substance use and abuse agencies. We also are helping and supporting our youth get their driver's licenses. In Oregon, driver's education is not offered. It has to be paid for, and it costs about $800 per person. And so we're able to support the young people in scholarships to take driver's ed, actually even also pay for their driver's tests. If they need documents like birth certificates, IDs, driver's license, we're able to purchase those as well. Anything that's a barrier to them moving into employment or into post-secondary education, we're able to like manage and take care of and help the youth navigate the systems.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Just from the report, a lot of those smaller wraparound pieces are so important in helping make sure folks can participate. But essentially getting to after someone has finished the program, how do you help folks transition into employment and apprenticeship program or other post-service opportunities?
That actually doesn't start post-program. That starts while they're in the program. One of the examples, I'm going to go back to Kara's Knife River, great company, and we go out to their training center. They have a huge training complex that's within driving distance. We take the students out there, and they have the opportunity there to drive the heavy equipment. They can drive a skid steer through a little obstacle course, move a loader, and they have like the biggest monster excavator in the business, and they actually get to get in that thing and drive that, and they can, with the big claw hook, they can reach out there and grab a little orange pylon, and they have to move it around and set it down in a little 2-foot target circle. And the folks who are running that program are watching those students. They use that kind of as a mini interview. They're watching for the students who kind of have a knack, who have the touch to drive that equipment, who are coming, from a farm, or who have driven tractors before, whatever, or they're just plain good. They just have a knack, and they'll come after us afterwards, and they'll ask the kids questions and get them involved in conversation. And as a mentor, I then start asking some leading questions about like what it takes to get employed and what kind of jobs they have open. And you can just see the eyes on those, I want to call them kids, but youths, because some of them are 18 and 20, and their eyes get really big at the opportunity that they could actually learn. They could get an apprenticeship and get paid. Their training would be paid to learn how to operate this stuff and go to work for Knife River in an apprenticeship program to get the skills and learn how to drive this stuff. And it gets them really excited, and they start asking questions, and I make sure that we come away as a mentorship. We come away from that with business cards and websites and application procedures. And we bring that back here, make sure the staff has that information and knows the names of the students who are interested in that. And we get them working with, we have a placement coordinator in Youth Build. And once he gets involved, then he will follow up on that and make sure they continue down that path and are working towards the requirements that have been laid out in front of them for what it requires to get into that job. And so they can come away from just a tour of the Knife River training complex with a future at Knife River driving heavy equipment. And that placement coordinator will help make sure they go through the proper steps and get those interviews and get the applications in and whatever they need to follow that dream that they had from just going to a training center and getting to drive that cool stuff. And they love it. They absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's amazing, and such a good kind of illustration of really good integration into employment after service. Now, I know you guys work in rural areas, so I was curious, are there any challenges you face while working in rural areas? And how do you deal with that? How do you overcome them?
Yeah, absolutely. One of those, like I mentioned before, is being in a rural area is, youth getting their driver's licenses. A lot of youth, they don't feel that the driver's license is a necessity. And we have to talk to them about, yeah, you need that because the buses aren't going to run, 24/7. And for you to have a job in a rural, in an area that maybe we are part of the Bend metro area as well, is like, if you want a job in Bend, you need to probably drive because the bus system isn't going to be working outside of your work hours. You need to prepare for that. Also, too, we found in a rural area, where we're at is, it's hard for our young people to that apprenticeship pathway. For the apprenticeship pathway, I mean, the average age is still, they say, hey, we want young people in there. Average age is still 28. Our young people are applying, but they're not getting up on the list because they are competing with those 28-year-olds. They're competing with those 30-plus-year-olds that are in our area that are wanting those apprenticeship jobs as well. And so it's really hard for that pathway for them to do that. If they want to go into an apprenticeship right away, especially union, they have to go over to the Portland area, which is 3.5 hours away from us. And so that's a big challenge as well, because there's not housing costs as well. Young people getting out on their own is impossible because the housing costs in our area are astronomical, even for rent. So young people are still living with their parents. We have young people that are also homeless, living on public lands. That's happening more. Families are living on public lands. That's happening more and more often as well. And it's to overcome them, we're still working on it. I'll be honest with you, we're still working on it. New challenges arise all the time, and we have to come up with, solutions with partners. That's where the partnerships come in, and they're so invaluable as well, is, because we're not doing it alone. There's other organizations that are doing the same work as we are, and we just have to work and coincide with them as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, we are at time for the panel, but thank you so much, Darlene and Kara, for being a part of this. And it was an honor to get to spotlight the great work you guys do at Heart of Oregon Corps.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And with that, I will kick it back to Brent.
Well, again, just echoing Robert's statements, great job. You did a fantastic job. You're doing great work in Oregon. So again, very appreciate you sharing your story with part of us at this webinar. I just wanted to round us off with just like a summary of next steps that employers could take if they want to more fully kind of connect with the service year ecosystem. So first of all, you can, like Kara and Darlene mentioned, you can explore a variety of ways of connecting to cores in your area. So everything from it, networking opportunities, exposing them to the careers that you have available, project site visits, mentoring opportunities, just ways of getting in front of the youth is always really powerful. You can also speak with service year programs in your area about if there's ways of forming preferential hiring relationships, everything from just marketing your jobs to service year alumni or guaranteeing interviews or points on interviews, things like that. There's also the employers of national service that will expose you to the national network of national service programs and basically indicate that your organization is interested in hiring service year alumni. You can continue to build on that relationship by working with local service programs to see if you can support infusing high-value certifications to your company and additional trainings. So if there's trainings that you could offer through your company to core members, or have the resources to help core members gain certifications that make them more hireable for your positions. And then again, kind of like at the top of this layer of workforce development, again, you can actually start working towards forming a pre-apprenticeship relationship, and awarding hours towards your apprenticeship requires as well. So it gives them one more kind of foot in the door of the opportunities that you have available. I sent this information out as part of that pre-read. So you also already have this. Again, we're going to be sharing our slide deck, but this is just a variety of additional resources that are available if you want to learn more about kind of the intersections between service, workforce development, and pre-apprenticeship. Again, all three of our organizations have a lot of great resources out there. There's the report on pre-apprenticeship is the first one listed. I know we shared it in the chat, but also there's a link to that Apprenticeship and Clean Energy Network if your organization is thinking about figuring out how to stand up new apprenticeships in the clean energy space, or recruiting from the service year kind of ecosystem as well. But with that, I do believe we're just about at time, but I'm sure some of us can kind of stay on if there's additional questions. But also, here is our contact information. I'll continue to share it out after this. So we are always open to having conversations and helping you kind of guide through this process more fully. So please feel free to reach out to myself, Vanessa, or Robert after the webinar as well. But with that, I'll adjourn us, but at least I can stay on a little bit further if there's any questions. And thank you to everyone. All right, so I'm not seeing any further questions come in. So again, thank you all. You all did a fantastic job.
Yes,
and I
Tony.
really appreciate it. Oh, hey Tony,
I-
how's it going?
Hey, I'm over here representing Castle Community Action Agency.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you. My one question was pertaining to, 1 second, let me go back to my note. All right. Ms. This goes to Miss Erica. How you doing, Miss Erica? On the solar, because St. Louis, how you doing? St. Louis is the Midwest, and I could say we're probably behind the curve on the solar. But I would like to explore some of those opportunities as well to
How
know
quickly
where
did
it's
you get
going.
to Chicago?
3 hours, maybe 4.
I'm literally in a hotel. We're in Chicago for our renewable energy RE Plus Midwest conference. So lots of conversation over the last couple of days about the opportunities in the Midwest. Encourage you to check out CS site. I'm going to drop my email in the chat as well. Please reach out. I can connect you with folks who can kind of give you a sense of what the industry is doing there right now, and also what's building up for the future. Lots of states are building out their own kind of benefits and incentives towards the industry, and also reacting to the national incentives that are rolling out. So it's like things are changing month to month, and happy to connect you with that information so you have a better sense of that space.
Absolutely. And for Miss Kara, I actually experienced AmeriCorps in middle school as well. So I look forward to exploring some where they've been since 25, 30 years ago, so. And thank you, Brent, and thank you, Robert.
Yeah, thanks for your questions. Thanks for engaging, and thanks for your service as well, Tony.
Yes.
Hi, this is Dave over in Washington State. I have a couple of questions. I'm interested in the concept of tying in service year and pre-apprenticeship programs, and just wanting to find out where we can get more information about that.
Yeah, and so others feel free to chime in. I would say a great place to start is with that pre-apprenticeship report that I'll have linked out as a follow-up. It'll give you like some specific examples and kind of how the different ways it can show up. But David, I'll also email you directly as well, and I can connect you to your state service commission, which is basically the administrator for all the AmeriCorps programs in the state, but also have a lot of oversight on like youth build programs and things too. So as you figure out what the best connection is, they can be the ones that can facilitate direct connections to cores in your area.
Sure, and I'll put my email in the chat for you. And I actually work with Washington Service Corps, which is attached to Washington State Employment Security Department, and we do a lot of cross work and sharing of resources and things of that nature with Serve Washington. So it would be a good connection with those folks over there.
And you might know more than I do, but they're standing up their new climate core as well, and there's additional like grant opportunities through that as well that could be interesting for you to look at.
Yeah, I actually participated in some of the meetings for that prior to putting that. Once we got the information about the legislature appropriating some funds for the new program, so but definitely interested in the link between. Like I said, service programs and pre-apprenticeship, especially because one of the jobs that I do here at the Service Corps is overseeing the environmental focus area for most of our environmental projects. So really would be interested in seeing how we can do a link of those particular those two items, between service learning, the service opportunities and pre-apprenticeship opportunities.
And so just like Erica mentioned, that's the specific role service year is playing in the ACE network. And so we're a little bit new on the project, but as more clean energy apprenticeships start to stand up, there could be opportunity in the future for us to work together to help you kind of fully integrate pre-apprenticeship with if there's apprenticeships that open up in the Washington area.
Okay. And I'm going to put my email in chat right now. Thank you.
David, one other thing I might add to as you're working with Brent and Erica and your colleagues at Serve Colorado is thinking about just kind of the current programming that you're offering through the Service Corps experience. I'll share a link to JFF's pre-apprenticeship framework, but I think you'll find you're likely doing a lot of what DOL kind of wants to see in a pre-apprenticeship.
Mhm.
I believe the state of Washington is one of the states that does not have sort of a formal recognition process for pre-apprenticeship. And I